We're ready.
Okay, this is the Columbia City Redevelopment Commission, November 11, 25, regularly scheduled meeting. First item on the agenda is roll call. Carl Sadler, that's me, I'm here. Angela.
Here.
Samara's gone, Samara. Scott is here. Tad is gone. Okay, we have established a quorum. David is here. Okay, next item on the agenda is roll call. We got it. Okay, get rid of that. Minutes. They were shipped out, I believe, so.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, we have a motion to approve, and we have a second.
Second.
Second, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Okay, okay, we got old business next. LM&L is still in state limbo. They aren't causing any grief. They aren't requesting anything beyond what was requested 3-4 months ago, so. Van Buren, Washington Street side. That's the
Parking lot.
parking lot. Okay, apparently we are the proud owners of that now. What is the people's ideas for what we do with that?
I mean, I think that's a good conversation for the redevelopment commission to have. You all know, my opinion is I'd like to see it redeveloped instead of just a parking lot.
Yeah.
It's a parking lot that is very rarely used for public purposes. It is used for the dance studio next door. But ultimately, I think it has a really good location. The parcel is a little wonky on how it sits. Of some sort.
That does have a chunk cut out of like the northwest corner, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, does any of you have any idea of what we might want to do with it? Given how we got a wonderful request for proposal that we can review later.
Yeah, we could just put out another request for.
Would we entertain an RFP for doing something with that?
Can't hurt.
Yeah.
I can make it a little fancier. I can make this one a little fancier.
You don't have to make it tricky. This is nice, it's simple.
Yeah.
I think
It is
somebody
much more
might-
simple than the ones I prepared, so I'm gonna.
Somebody might actually read it. Because it's not like you went to the library and got a book. Anyway, okay, does anybody have any problem with it?
No, I think that's probably our best bet.
Okay, could Al try to put something together?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, that's that. Former Whitley County Jail, any further updates other than we have created a request for a proposal here by Mr.
I guess what I will tell you is we've kind of heard from the county, they're anticipating that probation will be out of there probably by the end of the year. So the RFP that's kind of been put together here, I think, tries to take into consideration some of that timeline. But generally speaking, that's about the only update I have necessarily right here for you.
Okay. That probably is a good way to do have that. We've got this request for proposal that's been distributed. I've seen it before, so I don't know if the rest of you got it or not. But do we
Yes,
like
yeah.
it? Do we like it?
Did, Scott and Angie, did you guys get a chance to take a look?
I did not send it,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so.
Take your
I was
time.
gonna say, if you wanna give them time to,
Yeah, and if you, I mean, we've got, it's not a rush, but it's rushed.
The only thing,
Nothing's on fire.
and again, some of these are things I'm sure you would have put on before you published, and obviously we need deadlines and things like that
Yeah.
for submissions.
I think-
But right now, I don't know how you'd set a deadline, because we don't know if this is gonna issue in January or February or December or whatever, so that's premature. The only other thing I was gonna say is, I think the photos are great. You might go ahead and somehow highlight
Highlight.
or delineate
Okay.
which, because it is a big chunk, the property that we're talking about, especially that includes that old parking lot. But from the aerial, my eyes got drawn immediately to the restaurants, and I got all
That was mine too.
confused, and I was like, okay, well, because that looked like what it was being, the sort of highlight on it.
Okay,
So does that make sense?
yes,
Yep.
I can do that. I had one and yeah, it's fine. Easy fix.
But you guys, again, can table that and take time to look it over and see. You're right, if it's right now, we're not even sure if it's gonna be vacant by, hopefully by the end of the year.
yeah, I think the biggest question mark right now, though, is obviously we're going into the holiday season. And so I think one of the things that Chip and I had talked a little bit about was obviously asking for requests for proposals between Thanksgiving and Christmas is a challenging thing because people have lots of time off. So the anticipation would be we'd ask for the proposal to arrive after, I don't know how.
January 16th.
Yeah, so
I
a
don't know
couple
how it
weeks
got added.
after
Yeah.
Christmas, if you will. But as a part of that, we thought, well, if there was a little bit more of an extended period of time to actually have the RFP out there and ruminating and being worked on and things like that. So it's not like due the day before Christmas, but instead maybe it's worked on a little bit and then after they get back from Christmas break or whatever, then here's where it's at. But I think that was kind of our thinking from the start. But
I think that makes sense.
And if we aren't sure when the county's gonna actually vacate the place. Because
Yeah.
that's gonna make a difference in how people are.
sure.
Yeah, so I would say February 1,
You want February 1?
or February 1 or January 31,
Yeah.
whichever.
I don't know how those dates fall. February 1 is a Sunday, so if you do 30th of January would be a Friday.
Okay. That gives them time, plus maybe the
Yeah.
county will make up their mind.
So yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't know, I'm assuming we would be fine with that. Again, if there's things that you guys want included or taken out, if there's things in that RFP that you want more defined or whatever, we can, I think we're open to suggestions and stuff.
I'll send electronic copies to everybody, sorry.
Then I think to get people to respond to this thing, it's gonna have to be pretty open.
Broad, mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this way, if somebody has a crazy idea that we haven't come up with,
Yeah.
maybe they might respond.
Mayor, would your preference be for them to authorize the issuance of this today, though, to get it moving? I think that's what I heard.
I mean, that's my
Hearing from
preference,
you.
only
Yeah.
because that gives more time for people to respond, since it is a pretty open RFP. Now, if there's concerns, or if you want the RFP rewritten, then that certainly makes sense for us to delay till the next meeting. But if there's minor things along the way, and generally speaking, you are accepting of the RFP, we can still hold back on sending that out, waiting for some of those minor feedback pieces, but I think I'd like to get at least a little bit of clearance to move forward with the RFP if possible. Again, though, I want to make sure you guys are comfortable with the concept or with the idea of the RFP first and foremost before we move forward. So if that makes sense, leeway where if there's changes and stuff, we're happy to make those, but I really don't want to wait a month to get approval to move forward with the RFP. Just
Yeah.
I don't see
I agree
anything wrong
with
with
you.
this.
Is that a motion?
Yeah. Making a
Second.
motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Here. Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's 3-0.
Thank you, redevelopment, appreciate that.
And that's to authorize the issuance of the
That's,
RFP.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
For that,
Do you have a vote?
well, when I get back, that's for another meeting. Anyway, I got another meeting later. So, okay, next item on the agenda is Smith Brothers property. Smith Brothers property is they're trying to figure out what to do with, you know, how much the potential damage, you know, or how much the potential liability and cleanup costs are on it. The SME people and the I.S. Miller people are in communication, trying to figure out what to do with it. They have had a little bit of communication with the state, and they think probably to go the same route we did on LM&L is the best thing to do, because you know, the agency is at least semi up on what the area is down there. And so that's kind of where it is. They're still trying to figure that out. I don't know if I'm still trying, I need to have a conference with Angela probably to see, and I don't know if you know, Mayor, whether there's been any success in what insurance policies exist out there.
I've not heard recently. I know that she was digging into them, but I've not heard any updates recently. So I'm again, happy to check in on that if that's what you'd like, Carl.
You might check
Okay.
into where the city is based on them, because you could probably find
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Because the one parcel is owned by the city. And the north parcel was previously owned by the city, so.
Yeah.
it
And I think we were able to at least give some minor information, but I think it only went back into the early 2000, maybe not, maybe a little earlier than that, so I don't know. I don't think we could find a whole lot of information on policies like in the 80s and before. I think we could find maybe up to the 90s, but I'm not 100% sure. So I will check with Angela to see where she's at.
Yeah, you can check with that.
Yep.
And confirm where we're at in there. There has been considerable testing over and above what was originally in the phase 2. And thus far, nothing has came out worse than anything expected, so. There's gonna be some, you know, VOCs and petroleum distillates that are in the old Bonflex building, because they were working on cars in there, and there was a couple of floor pits, like for floor drains in the thing, so there probably will be some kind of, you know, cleanup with that, and, you know, whatever it costs us to demo the building, so go from there, I guess, and see what it is. But I think we're trying to, you know, get this sorted out enough so that legally we can be comfortable going forwards, and legally, and we can also maybe get a comfort letter for the place, so that if we do buy it, or create, you know, an option to buy, we aren't on the hook for a cleanup that we don't really want to do.
Yep.
So that's kind of, that's the Smith Brothers property right now. Okay, any other old business?
Well, I don't know if the Grant property, if the facade, if that's old business, or would you consider that new?
That's probably new.
Okay.
We haven't addressed it before. as far as that facade was
Okay.
concerned. I think we addressed a different facade. All right, new business. Does anybody have any new business? There you go.
I was, the Grant Building on West Van Buren Street, I've been talking with the owners of that, and as you know, they did the front facade and then had, I can't think, it's an Atlas or whatever, come out,
Yeah.
and they said that the west side needed done, so they're requesting another facade grant. They didn't want to fill one out if it was gonna be kind of null and void, and I told them that I would talk to you guys today about it and see what your thoughts are on that. They know, they are gonna tuck point the alley side, but they're not requesting funds for that. So I wish I would've known this last, one, but yeah, they are on that, and they said that's bad. So just, it's a request. I'll leave it up to you guys.
Well, I think as we sort of, discussed, I think that we would entertain that because it is a highly visible facade when you have
Okay.
it down there.
And we've done that kind of thing before. We did that with Runaround, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they had two different facades
Yeah,
that
they
were
do
on
have
the street.
Well, this one, though,
I mean,
It's
but
very
yeah,
visible
due to the
coming into town.
visibility of it, yes, it does have a lot of visibility from the street. So,
and what all are they doing?
Just tuck pointing,
tuck pointing.
Tuck pointing.
tuck pointing the whole, they want to do the whole
So you,
building.
but they didn't want to fill out an application or anything like that until they heard.
Yeah,
it would
I'll
at
have
least be
them fill out an
considered.
application for
Okay.
next month, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I think we all have consensus that we had agreed to listen to the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so it isn't gonna get thrown out right away. All right.
Well, you can't promise it's going to be granted without knowing what they're asking.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
That's a little better way of putting it.
Yeah, agree to look at it, yes.
Okay, any other new business other than this? You don't hear any. Okay, you got it.
Me? I'm ready. Okay, here we go. I am Nikki Keister. I am the Executive Director of Columbia City Connect. It's the
Nikki,
Main Street.
why don't you just go over and sit over at the table with them?
Oh, it's the Main Street program here in Columbia City. And I just wanted to come by and say thank you for your support and kind of give you an update of what we've done so far this year. It's 3 pages and I put pictures in there, but just really briefly, we have expanded our programming that has brought people downtown. So it's expanded in, First Fridays continues to grow, both in attendance and vendors participating. We have new programs like the Flower Crawl was new this year. So it just continues to grow. We got to do something that is one of my favorite things that we got to do this year. It's called Windows into History. I don't know if you've seen it in the buildings downtown. It was a grant from Indiana Humanities and Indiana Landmarks, where we got to highlight some prominent figures in downtown throughout the years, and it had a QR code, and you could scan it for more information. It connected to the Columbia City Connect website and then the museum's website. That was really neat. I thought that was a really kind of evergreen thing that happened this summer and a way to discover history, to kind of bring that museum piece out onto the street. That was a fun part. We also had our historic tour and Where Are We Wednesdays continued. Our community calendar had 312 community events in its first year on there, and I think that's really neat. I heard from at least 3 people, I didn't know blank existed in Columbia City, this event. One of them was the rodeo, and that's out the shrine. So anyway, it's a really neat thing. Our wayfinding signage, we have 2-sided signs that highlight local businesses on one side and the community events on the other. The first sign is at the end of the alley out in front of Oakey Alley. I don't know if you've seen that. And the other sign will go here as soon as some things are buttoned up over there. So it's been really neat to see. This is an authentic picture. I was out there and some lady and her husband just started pointing and I thought, it's working right there. That is not a posed picture, that is real life. And it has been really neat to see people discover the things that are happening and look at our downtown businesses. So I'm really proud of that as well. On the last page, we had a business seminar at the beginning of the year where we got all of our downtown businesses information about the programs that are available. The EDC spoke, Indiana Department of, what is it called? The DNR.
Oh, Natural resources.
Yeah, is that it? The people that do the tax credits for the historic. Chip, who are they? I've lost
Dave.
it. The state
Is it
spoke.
IHCDA?
I don't remember. We had several great speakers. Chip was one of them and Dale was the other.
Correct.
No, probably.
No, it was.
It's probably DNR.
It was the
For
DNR.
historic preservation?
Yes,
Yeah,
for
I
historic
think it's DNR.
preservation.
Yep.
And then, it's just been a great year. We had a grant come through for our first steamroller party, which was neat. It's where people carved things out of a board and then we inked them and then drove over them with a steamroller and there were the huge prints. It was a really neat thing and it brought a lot of different folks to our downtown and I was glad for that. But it's been a really good year and I wanted to say thank you. That's it.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's impressive, what,
yeah,
Well, you've been able to
there has been
accomplish.
a lot of activity.
Yeah.
Downtown,
Thank
you know,
you.
and that's been a concern for years, is, although, you know, most of the storefronts are full right now, if we don't have people coming down here and things turn down a little bit, all of a sudden a bunch of them are open. So I appreciate all the effort that's gone into it, because you can come to First Fridays or some of the other events, and it really is impressive what's been accomplished.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Looking good.
All right.
All right, any other
Galley.
new business? I guess it's back out into the cold.
Is that a motion to adjourn?
I would say, just an update on the Radio Road property.
Yes.
It is going out for bids, and on the work in general, the building behind the main building has been renovated, and it's gonna be classroom facilities, and some equipment will go in there. We will have students helping with a lot of the work, and that's a wonderful thing, but it's also a challenge for the contractors. You know, they can't just buzz in there and knock it all out, and then they're out of there. So, you know, so that's part of the process, part of the bidding process. The expectation at this point is that, and one of the benefits is it's enclosed. You know, we don't have to worry about buttoning it up for the
Yeah.
winter. And so the anticipation at this point, although, well, I won't say sometimes contractors lie to you in installments, but the expectation is we will have at least some of our CTE programs in there by August of next year. The one debate right now is because, as always, the expected price comes in a little higher than what you might hope. When we get the bids, we'll do more of an evaluation and we'll have okay, you know, what are the things that we don't have to do? And one of them would be, do we paint the existing building or do we wrap it, you know, with steel? And the hope is that there will be funds we want it to look as good as possible, and that's for the school and for the city. So more on that when we get bids, but exciting to see, and our students did almost all of the demo in there, including removing all the electrical, any of the plumbing stuff, and we had teachers there, staff there. One of the nice things is they were able to talk to them about, okay, this is what we have, and as they were tearing it apart, see how this is done. So it was, you know, not just cheap labor, really was an educational piece. So exciting to see that happening, and exciting to see as that continues to make that corridor look a little better.
Is the trail that the city extended out there, has that been useful to the school at all, or or is it too early to tell?
At this point, it's too early to tell. You know, it could certainly make that transportation piece easier if the kids aren't driving there. I will say, when prepping for our last school board meeting, I was facing one of the windows that faces the trail, and I saw quite a few people. I was impressed with how many people walked by. Weather was a little better that day than today.
Well, that's, I'm not saying.
Yeah.
But I think it's just a wonderful addition, and I think it looks great. So help spruce up that.
And I only thought about it because I know the trailhead comes right out there at the.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Is that,
absolutely.
if a student was inclined to walk.
We talked about could we afford segways, but that,
Well,
I don't think we could afford the insurance.
They'll walk from their car to the door.
well, you used to walk to a bus stop, okay?
Oh, I never did. I had to walk to school.
Oh, okay.
Uphill both ways in the snow.
Yeah.
Yep. Actually, when I was in grade school, we had to walk home for lunch. We didn't even have.
Oh, yes.
Didn't even have a
I've heard of that.
cafeteria at the old Marshall.
I guess the other thing that I could give a quick update on is we completed the first round of interviews for new superintendent.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
And within the next week or so, we'll have the second round of interviews. We're gonna have a bit of a meet and greet with admin so that they get to meet both the candidates and we kind of see how they interact with them. So, we're hopeful to have, something wrapped up, and we've been saying early January. At this point, I would see it happening faster than that, but I'd rather, I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. And I would say we have phenomenal candidates. We just really, the search team that we worked with, which is a representative from IU, Ball State, Purdue, but they commented on the number and quality of candidates that we received and how that spoke well of the community and the school system.
Just down to the final two.
Yeah, it's down to 2.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
Did you already
Okay.
adjourn?
Yeah, we gonna, all right, everybody want to adjourn? If somebody doesn't, say, speak up.
By acclamation.
Yeah, acclamation, there it is.